What's up, guys? This is going to be the full card breakdown for UFC 255, Figueiredo versus Perez. It's coming up tonight, 7 o'clock start time for the prelims. So we got a couple title fights on this card. Not the most stacked pay-per-view that we've seen, but there are some bets, and I'd say it is more of a heavy favorite card. But we'll get straight into it. So first fight of the night, we got Cosce and Sasha Palatnikov. So Cosce coming off the Contender Series, he got a big win over Victor Reina there. And just to get to the point, I think Victor Reina was a higher caliber opponent than he's going to be facing here. I think the UFC is looking at him for the win, and they're getting behind the brothers. Normally they both fight on the same card, and I know the other brother was scheduled to face Dalby. I'm not sure what happened with that, but he did withdraw. And they put in Daniel Rodriguez. So I like that matchup better, to be honest. I think Rodriguez and Dalby will be a good fight. But I'm going to be going with Lewis here. I think that they brought in Sasha, as a decent opponent for him to pick up another win. And the odds are, he is a heavy favorite. So I don't know that I agree with it, the line where it's at now, but I do think he should be, a considerable favorite. So I'm going to go with Cosce there. I'll say he gets it done by TKO in the first round. Then we got Kyle Daukaus and Dustin Stoltzfus. So Dustin was on the Contender Series, and watching that fight, I thought he was losing that fight up until he got the win. Kyle Daukaus, his last fight, he took on Brendan Allen. He actually put up a pretty good performance. I mean, he lost that fight, but he had his moments. He tagged him a few times on the feet, won a few of the transitions on the ground. So, and he's also going to be the bigger guy here. I do like Daukaus for the win. I mean, Stoltzfus does have the potential to get it done. I don't write him off, but I think that Daukaus is going to be ready for this fight. Coming off the loss to Brendan Allen, I think he's going to be really hungry. Not that Stoltzfus isn't going to be hungry, right? But I think he should be able to get it done here. I'm going to go with Kyle Daukaus by submission in the second round. Next up, we got Alan Jouban and Gooden. So this one is a little bit tougher to call. Alan Jouban's been around for a long time. He has fought some decent opponents in the UFC. He's coming off a loss to Dwight Grant. It was a split decision. Previous to that, he got a win over Ben Saunders in the second round. He's had a bit of a tough run as of late. He's only won out of his last 4 fights. But he is a talented fighter. I mean, he's a lot better on the feet than on the ground. He's got some decent boxing. Gooden coming from Titan FC. He's on a 3-fight win streak. This is going to be a big step up in competition for him. And I think that Alan Jouban does have the tools to get it done. He has the experience as well, a lot of fights in the UFC. And it's hard for me to get behind fighters until I see something from them inside the UFC. I'm going to go with Alan Jouban here. I think this could be a close fight, but I do feel more comfortable picking the UFC vet. So I'm going to say Alan Jouban gets it done by decision in that one. Then we got Dalby and Daniel Rodriguez. So Daniel Rodriguez is a really heavy favorite in this fight. I think Dalby does deserve a little bit more respect. But looking at his last few performances, Daniel Rodriguez does look really good. And he's performed well in the UFC. I think he's undefeated so far. And he's on, I think, close to a 10-fight win streak now. His last fight, he got it done in the first round over Dwight Grant. And then previous to that, Gabe Green and Tim Means. So, I remember the Tim Means fight. Everybody was picking Means, or for the most part, everybody was taking Tim in that fight. And, he got him out of there in the second round. So he's looked really impressive. It's hard for me to pick against him here. Dalby coming off the loss to Jesse Ronson. It got overturned to a no contest, so I'm sure Ronson probably tested positive for something. And previous to that, he beat Alex Oliveira. I think he is a pretty good fighter. It's just hard for me to pick against Daniel Rodriguez right now. It could play out a lot closer than the line says. I don't think he should be such a big favorite. But I am going to take Daniel Rodriguez. I'll say he gets it done by decision in that fight. Next up, we got Antonina Shevchenko and Ariana Lipski. So Shevchenko, of course, the sister of Valentina, who's going to be fighting in the co-main. But she's definitely not even close to the level of her sister. A couple of her performances, she's looked pretty decent. She lost her last fight to Chookagian, but she did beat Lucy Pudilova, and a split decision loss to Roxanne Modafferi as well. She has some pretty good striking, but when it gets to the mat, she does panic. So I do think the game plan for Lipski should be to use her wrestling. She's coming off a submission win over Luana Carolina by knee bar. And, I think in this fight, she does have the tools to get it done. But if Shevchenko is able to keep it on the feet, I do think that she has the advantage there, and she could probably take a decision. But I am more comfortable taking Lipski just because, she has the capability to get it to the ground, or at least the submission capability, whereas Shevchenko has looked really rough on the ground. So I'm going to go with Lipski, but if Shevchenko can keep it on the feet till, say, midway through the fight, it's going to be telling that she's going to pick up a decision. So this probably is a good fight for live betting, but I'll go with Lipski. It's a tough one to call. Next up, we got Buckley and Jordan Knight. Jordan Wright coming off that first-round win over Ike Villanueva. Previous to that, he was in the LFA. Of course, he's 11-0, so he's been on a tear. But I think in this fight, Buckley does have the advantage. He's fought the higher-level competition. He has a ton of experience. And I think he's going to be really confident coming into this fight. I don't write off Jordan, but I think that it is a tough fight for him. So I am going to go with Buckley here. I'm going to say he gets it done by decision. It could be a really good fight, though. Jordan Wright, he's not going to give up. He's going to keep coming forward. He's got kind of more of a karate style. So it could be really interesting. I think it'll make for a good stand-up fight in that one. But I'm going to go with Buckley by decision. Then we got Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval. So this is a really good fight. This is, I think, could be fight of the night. Brandon Moreno, for me, in the last, couple years now, he's looked really good. I think he's going to be a contender. He's got 3 big wins in a row. Now, the decision, or the draw, to Askar Askarov, he won that fight. And then he beat Kai Kara-France and Jussier Formiga. So those are 3 high-level opponents, 3 really tough fights, and he looked good in all of them. And I can't pick against him here. I've been betting on him and picking him in all of those fights. Same thing with Brandon Royval, though. I've been high on him, especially after that first performance against Tim Elliott, where he got that triangle choke in the second round. So that was really impressive just because Tim Elliott's really good on the mat. And then to beat Kai Kara-France, he got it done by guillotine in the second. So he's looked really good as well. But I have to go with Brandon Moreno here. I think he's on his way up. I also think Royval's on his way up as well. But I think Brandon Moreno, after this fight, should get a top contender shot. And I'm going to pick him to win by decision. Next up, we got Mauricio Shogun Hua and Paul Craig. So Mauricio Shogun, he's been around forever. Former UFC light heavyweight champ. Fought all the highest level competition. But, he's getting up there in age. Just let me have a quick look. So he's 38. I actually thought that he was 40, but he's been in so many wars. He's been around for so long. I do think that he should have hung it up, a couple fights back. He is a little bit slower now. He's always there to fight, though. He never gives up. He takes a ton of big shots. And I think, ever since the John Jones fight, it's been downhill for him. I think Paul Craig's actually started to look better fight to fight. And I think UFC is looking at him for the win here. Shogun back in the day, I definitely would have picked him. But again, he's lost a lot of speed. I'm sure he's going to be training really hard for this fight because last fight was, Paul Craig did have his moments. But I have to go with Paul Craig here. I think that he should be able to get it done. Who might look for the takedowns? I mean, he did have some success with that in the last fight. But I got to go with Paul Craig. I'm going to say he gets it done by decision. I think Hua needs to retire at this point. He's had a really good career, but he doesn't need to take any more damage. He doesn't need the money, so I'm going to go with Paul Craig there, like I said, by decision. Then we got Caitlin Chookagian and Cynthia Calvillo. So the only thing about this fight that throws me off and makes it a little bit harder to pick is, the size and reach advantage for Caitlin Chookagian. So the reach isn't that big of a deal. She has a significant size advantage, though. She wasn't able to use it in her last fight. But Calvillo doesn't have the same power. I think Calvillo is really good on the feet, though. I do think she has some good boxing. I'd say it is better than Caitlin Chookagian. And I think, she is a little bit better all around than Caitlin. But Caitlin does have some grappling, and I think she is being disrespected in this fight. I think it should be a lot closer than it is. But at the same time, I do feel more comfortable going with Cynthia Calvillo. I have picked Caitlin in her last couple fights. I think, a lot of times she's the big underdog and it's not warranted. And I think in this case, the line should be a little closer, like I said. But I am going to go with Cynthia Calvillo. I think she'll edge out a close fight. This could be a split decision. but I'm going to go with Cynthia to get it done there by decision. Then we got Mike Perry and Tim Means. So this is an interesting fight. For me, it's, either Mike Perry catches him and gets the finish, or Tim Means gets the decision. And it all depends. I don't think Tim Means can take a big shot at this point, but if Mike Perry can't get to him, which could be the case. I mean, even against Mickey Gall, he didn't look that great early on. He used his wrestling and got it done that way. But Tim Means, it's going to be a tough fight for Perry unless he can catch him. So, I'm still on the fence on this one. At first I was thinking, looking back on Tim Means being knocked out a couple times, I thought Mike Perry probably will be able to catch him and put him away. But then again, with the reach advantage that Tim Means is going to have, and the size advantage, if he fights smart, he definitely has that path to victory. So I'm going to go with the dog here and say Tim Means gets it done. But, Mike Perry has the power to finish him off. So just depends on what shape he's in as well. I mean, he's got his girlfriend as his corner woman. So, who knows how he's going to come in. But I have to go with Tim Means here. I'm going to say he gets it done by decision in that one. Then we got the co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko and Jennifer Maia. Jennifer Maia has looked really good in some of her fights. She's got really good jiu-jitsu. But, it's hard to pick against Shevchenko. I mean, she's looked dominant. She's on another level when it comes to the flyweight women's division. And, it's hard to say that anybody's going to be beating her anytime soon. So, just to get right to it, I'm going to say Shevchenko gets it done. I'll say by ground and pound in the third round. And, it could be, competitive early on, but I just think, she's another level above. So I'm going to go with Shevchenko in that one. Like I said, third round, ground and pound. Then we got the main event, Deiveson Figueiredo and Alex Perez. So I've been pretty high on Deiveson Figueiredo even before he came into the UFC. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's fought all the highest level competition, really sharp on the feet, a lot of power. One of the few guys in the flyweight division that can finish off a fight on the feet, and has the power to do it. Alex Perez, he has been improving though. He's a really good fighter as well. Coming off a really good performance in his last fight against Formiga. Really heavy leg kicks. So, I don't know if that's going to be his plan in this fight. But if it is, I mean, he can be caught with a shot. The counter for a leg kick is going to be a straight. And we saw what Figueiredo did with those straights against Joseph Benavidez. So he could put Perez in a lot of trouble. And I think it could be actually a pretty good fight. I don't think it's going to be a wash. I mean, I could be wrong. We could see Figueiredo go out there and get that first round finish again. But I think Alex Perez, training really hard for this fight, and is going to be prepared. So, as it goes on as well, Deiveson Figueiredo does have a little bit of a cardio issue. I'm sure he's worked that out. So it is interesting. I think the line is where I expected it to be. But I have to go with Deiveson Figueiredo. I'm going to say he gets it done by submission in the third round. So this is a pretty good card. Like I said, we got a couple title fights. There's some interesting matchups. But I'll pull up the bets now. So I was still putting these together. There's going to be some parlay options. Kyle Daukaus is one of them. Luis Cosce, Paul Craig, Deiveson Figueiredo, and Brandon Moreno. I guess you could throw Joaquin Buckley in there, but I'm not really as comfortable with that one as a parlay option. So those 4 names, or 4 or 5 names, I'll pair them up by the time I put out the video. But this should be a really good card. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know who you guys have, if you have any bets on this card. Again, it is one of those heavy favorite cards. I do like it, a lot more when there's some decent dog picks. I saw some people are on Royval. I just can't go against Brandon Moreno. So good luck to you guys with your bets. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.